rispondere, grazie Raffaello per l'invitazione.
Grazie a te per essere venuto.
E scusi perché il mio italiano è molto malo.
L'italiano è bellissimo.
Voy a parlare a inglese, penso, Raffaello.
Sì, certo.
Spero che non è un problema. Okay, so, well, I am Nikita Kutsurais. I'm pre-sales and support consultant for Western Europe in Optex. And today I will be talking about the port environment for security. One of the things that we need to take into consideration when we talk about ports is that the incidence is very varied. You have theft, you have terrorist attacks, you have smuggling, you have people traffic, you have drug traffic. It's a lot of incidents that can happen in an airport. In addition, just to make it even more complicated, and based on this report, there is a number of reports available which are free. And taking this as an example, there are two aspects that were catching my attention at least. One of them is that 26% of the theft happens at the facility. And the other one is that there is no longer a prioritization to steal or theft goods of high value. We can see that food and beverage is now 16% of the theft and the value, and it's not really very high value goods, right? So now this is affecting everywhere. Another thing to take into consideration in the port, is that we have two very different environments. We have land, let's say for the logistic area zone, and then we have sea encountering the land, the edge of the sea and the land, which is also aiming protection, right? One important aspect, as my colleague Marco said, there is no technology that is good for everything, but there is always a place that is ideal for a technology.
This is very important.
Yeah. So, now we are looking at your case. It's basically based on video, mostly, for the surveillance. Our sensing technology doesn't provide any video, right? So we will always need your layer of security to support our sensing. And of course, you can always look at different layers of security that can live together. So it's not excluding one each other, right? They actually work together in an integrated system. Right, so I will be focusing on 4 solutions. Starting with the logistic area zone, we are looking normally at very large areas that are normally protected with a fence, with a physical barrier. And what is the target there is to detect an intruder entering the facility. Which is the problem for the technology to use in order to achieve this target? Well, the first problem is that the system must be completely independent and not be affected or affecting the activity inside of the logistic area zone. Another aspect is that because this is a very long perimeter, it's very important to minimize the infrastructure cost of the system and also the maintenance. Finally, it's very important when you're looking at a very long perimeter that you have the ability to specifically detect the point. And in our case, I'm talking about plus minus 5 meters accuracy, that we know exactly where is the point of intrusion. So how do we do this solution? What we propose here is fiber sensing cable installed along the fence that will detect the vibration produced by somebody climbing or somebody trying to break the fence. This system can work not only on the fence, but also underground. Let's suppose that you have some entry doors. Let's suppose that in some areas you don't have a fence, or let's suppose that in some areas your fence is not rigid enough to support the system. So it could go also underground. So this could be a solution for the logistic area zone that should be supported with cameras that, this is the good news, could be installed inside of the perimeter using the actual infrastructure. I mean, in these days, talking about multispectral cameras with a range of 500 meters, even 1 kilometer, is not sci-fi, right? It's almost normal. This is available, it's working well, we all know that. So we could have a few cameras and have a complete system. Here I'm going to talk about the boundary between the land and the sea. Again, what we want to achieve is to detect intruders, especially intruders coming from the sea, entering into the port facility. In some cases, other technologies can be perfectly used, but the advantages of our technology is that we can make a very slim, 30 centimeters only, maximum, curtain, vertical barrier, only 30 meters at the very edge of the land. So we will have a system that is not influenced or interfering with the internal activity. Actually, if there is an area where we need to exchange goods, for instance, the laser is as accurate as to be able to define with centimeters precision which areas are we masking. So maybe we don't want to perform detection in the area where you're bringing the cargo, right? But we want to detect in the other areas. So we can do that with the laser with a precision of centimeters. And we will make a virtual perimeter, and again, it's a system that can be permanently armed, that can live perfectly in combination with the activity in that area, that in many cases there is a lot of activity because it's where we exchange goods between boats and trucks and land and sea. And then I will continue, because I don't want to take too much time. Once we are inside of the port, especially on the logistic area zone, we may have buildings that require special protection because the goods inside are more critical, because they are more exposed because of their location or some other reasons. And here what we can do is, again, use a laser to make a virtual cage around the building. And this will not interfere at all with all the activity of trucks, people around the perimeter. It will actually be able even to change the detection profile when we are arming and disarming the system. This is a very popular implementation for our laser and can also be used to protect the roofs and detect only on the access points, leaving, free movement in the roof as far as you don't get to the entry point in the roof. And just to finish, as you can see, I'm going from the very outside to the inside, right? So we started in the perimeter, land and sea. Then we go to the building, and now we go to the inside of the building. Some buildings, we have goods that are very valuable, and a person could be walking with the camera behind him and do very quickly move and take a computer, take a laptop, take mobiles, take something of high value. What we can do is to create this virtual curtain that can be combined with an access control system. Just to say it, we can detect with the laser objects as small as 2.5 centimeters at a distance of 5 meters. So we can detect a hand quite well, right? So if I present my credential and then I put my hand inside, it's okay. The access controls will say it's not an alarm, it's somebody that is authorized to do it. But if I put my hand inside to take something and I don't present my credential first, then there is an alarm. So as you can see, we have two technologies specific for this case that can help you to protect from the outside to the inside, minimizing the infrastructure cost, allowing normal operation in your facility, and having a system that is permanently armed. And I will just finish saying again, non esiste una tecnologia perfetta per qualsiasi sito, ma esiste un sito perfetto per ogni tecnologia.
Very good. Grazie. Bravissimo Nikitos. Davvero interessante la tua presentazione.